I mean, you know, I played it quite a bit, and I've followed the game still to this day. So yeah, let's go ahead and watch this. A little loud, I know, so I'm gonna turn that down just a little bit. Turn it down right
As a
there.
proud and long-standing member of the Lebron Stan Club, I saw something the other day that completely broke my heart. And it came right from the king himself. A statement about the day that we all knew was coming, but desperately hoping that it never would.
How long do you think you could be playing at this level if you chose to?
Well, it's not
Like
me.
5, 10
Obviously, it's
years
the
at
mind.
least.
It's
5 to 10 years at least.
wherever my mind is how the rest of my body
At
is, whatever the
least.
case may be. I'm not gonna play that much longer, to be completely honest. I don't know
Really.
how many years that it is. If it's 1 year or 2 years or whatever the case may be. But I'm not. I said the other night, I'm not playing till the wheels fall off. I'm not gonna be that guy.
I think he
We've
will
got about
be.
2 more
I think
seasons
he's
to
gonna have a
watch LeBron James play
harder time letting
basketball
go than
before he
that.
finally hangs it up, and the show that we have spent the last 2 decades enjoying comes to an end. But what if it didn't? Instead of retiring as a great, productive, impactful, coherent basketball player,
But he's
what if
not.
LeBron
He's
played
just
until the
not
wheels fell off?
productive.
What if he
Look, I'm
played
gonna show you
until he
this.
wasn't good enough to
Okay,
play
so
anymore? The
he's
point
not
varies.
productive. I should maybe reword that. The guy's gonna have his stats. Like, you know, the guy on my channel, he comes on once in a while. You might know him as Prometheus or Excel God, but he really hates how poor a man this guy plays his defense now. This does not play defense at all. And he's hurting the team, so I'm like, check this out. So I went to some NBA stats. Let's just go LeBron box plus minus. All right. And I'm looking at this for the season. Let's just look at LeBron's stats. So just look at LeBron James right here. All right. And then let's look at his go to the what is this, the game log? Yeah. And I was looking at this the other day. So like this is 2024, 2025. These are all the games that he's played so far. He started off you know, plus 14, plus 13, and then like just started to just get worse and worse. This is a negative 30. This is a negative 28, negative 21. And so yeah, I just put this into like a quick spreadsheet real quick. We can just sum this all up and then we can get like what that final number is. Whoops. I have to do the whole thing. Christ. Why can't I edit this? All right. Now that we got that, he's negative 131 in the year. So when he's on the floor, teams have scored 131 more points than when he's not. So what's the team average? I don't know. It's just not very good. I just know that negative 131 isn't very good. And you can't have that. Like, that's like, to me, that like this is like probably one of the most important stats. Like, you want to know whether or not you're helping. And yeah, but he gets like triple doubles, right? This is a triple double. This is a triple double. This is not, you know, he's got some triple double. Look, total rebounds is, oh, sorry, this is not a triple double. This is a triple double though. This is very close. This is another triple double. Total rebounds 10, 11 assists. I mean, like he's a stat machine, right? His box plus minus is probably pretty good. I would have to say, like he's still like, you know, contributing and scoring points and doing all that, but he's hurting his team overall. If you just look at this, right? This is probably, to me, this is probably the most important statistic that you can in basketball. You want to know whether or not you are putting together a positive performance, and this could be a factor of other things too. Like you might have a poor team around you as well, and you know that might have to come into play. You have 4 other guys on the court at the same time. They might also have a negative box plus minus. So let's see what some of these other guys have. Their starting 5, for example. Let's just look at Austin Reeves. Okay. And I'm just going to look at his game log. And we're just going to just take all this right here. All right. And right off the bat, you know, something's already jumping out at me, but that's fine. We'll show that to you in a second. And we're just going to unmerge everything just like we did last time, because that's, you know, I could just like connect this, you know, via Power Query or something, but, you know, we're just going to try to do this as quickly as possible. He's at a 27, okay? Austin Reeves is, you know, another starter. What about Anthony Davis? What's he doing? How's he doing? Let's see. Here's Anthony Davis. Let's look at his game log. All right. And yeah, he's got some positive numbers out there, right? Yeah, like I see a couple. I expect to see this again, like right, and you know, be a positive influence on the floor. But LeBron, going back to here, a negative 131. It's not good. That's not good. That's what you want to see, like maybe out of like a guy who comes off the bench. But that can't be good. All right, I'm gonna go on.
No value to any team in the NBA, and he's hypothetically forced to retire as an unsigned free agent. Well, if you ask me, that's an easy one. The answer is never. My King's presence alone is worth 10 men. But if we were to,
I hope he retires as a Laker. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Obsessive fan, how long could LeBron truly play before he simply wasn't good enough to be in the NBA?
A good question. That's a good question. So like, I'm not sure. So like I said, the guy could probably put up stats for, you know, I agree with my friends. I think he could probably put up stats for the next 3 or 4 years at least, before we start to see him, you know, start to wane down a little bit. But yeah, he could definitely keep playing for a solid 3 or 4 years. The guy's built to last. So yeah, we'll see. Barring any injuries, I think he can, you know, play for that long. Yeah, for sure.
Are on sale all weekend long. Right now, new customers who bet just $5 will get 100.
I'm not big of a gambler. You know, I call myself the analyzer. And it's funny. I can't tell you how to do like what these bets, what these spreads are. I don't bet. I don't bet the spread. I don't even know what that means. I don't like gambling. I don't like sports gambling, and I don't think I'll ever follow it. That's just, you know, that's just to be real. I love numbers though. I love the numbers game. Yep, that's for certain. But yeah, I'm just not a big gambler. Yeah. Like there's fantasy sports that I've gotten involved with sometimes, but I don't even like really truly like fantasy football, fantasy basketball, any of that. Fantasy baseball. It's not for me.
By Father Time. It doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how long you can stave it off, it inevitably catches up to
Kobe.
Everyone. Except for LeBron James. In year 22, LeBron continues to completely piss on every expectation and timeline set out for him and his career.
I like that.
Now approaching 40 years
completely
old, and
piss.
still one of the best players on the planet. There are grown, adult fans of the NBA who have never known a day without LeBron in the league. Matter of fact, there are NBA players who have yet to witness a season without LeBron James.
There's like NBA, like Bronny, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the perfect example. Bronny was born when he was in the NBA, and now when he's playing in the NBA with his son. That's kind of crazy.
Play before he's no longer at least a serviceable NBA player. The point where he's no longer good enough to even have a spot in the league. 6, 7 more years, maybe until he's 50. I'm sure
he
that
puts up his numbers.
After all, the oldest player in modern NBA history just barely hobbled his way to being a 44-year-old active NBA player. And LeBron has already been the oldest player in the NBA for a couple seasons now. But LeBron's refusal to play has gone on for
that just broke my chest.
At this point, it would be shocking if he did.
That's ugly.
Here are 3 players and their numbers from this season.
All right. So let me guess who these players are. Here. This is probably Luka. I'm just gonna say, like, this is probably Luka Doncic. This is LeBron. I feel like that that looks about right. And then right over here on the far left, player A, is that Shy?
Really good, productive players. And I want you to guess who each of these players are. Now,
Okay.
statistically, they're all relatively close, but they shouldn't be. Because player A is early MVP candidate prime Jason Tatum.
Okay,
Player
Tatum.
B is Luka Doncic.
Okay,
and
that got that one
player
right.
C is 40-year-old
Obviously, LeBron James. Okay. So his box plus minus is a 5.9, yet his plus minus is a negative 131. Now, that is probably like that very, very deceiving. That's a bad box plus minus, right? Like, it's strange because you look at this, like he's got 24, 9 threes, box plus minus 5.9. That's an advanced NBA statistic for real. And if you don't know like the box, how that's calculated, so let's see how to calculate the box plus minus in basketball. Okay, so it's using statistical model that takes a player's box score statistics, their position, and their team's overall performance to estimate their contribution to the team in points above league average per 100 possessions. So like, how do you calculate it? How to calculate the box? So subtract the difference between a player's team's total points, their opponent's total points, when the player is in the game. For example, if a player's team outscore their opponents, but so this is just a normal plus minus. Like this is like this right here. This is just a normal plus minus. There is a difference between the box plus minus and the plus minus. So like if you look at this right here, this is just the plus minus, right? But his box plus minus is it's calculated a little bit differently. Yeah, let's try to figure out how to do that. So to give a sense of scale, plus 10 and okay, that's fine. About box plus minus that estimates a player's contribution to the team when he's on the court. It's only based on information in the traditional box. It is based only on the information in the traditional box score. No play-by-play data or non-traditional box score like dunk or deflections are included. Uses a player's box score, information, position, and the team's overall performance to estimate the contribution. League average is defined as 0.0. Okay, meaning 0 points above average or below, because above average players play more minutes. They are far more below average players than above average players in the league. Okay, sorry. There are far more below average players than above average at any time. A value of plus 5 means that the team is 5 points per 100 possessions better than the player on the floor than the average. Okay, so but what's the actual calculation? So a box score statistic per 100 and team adjusted efficiency. So like, all right, let's look at this right here. So this is again from Basketball Reference. Right here, so centers get. This is kind of trash. I think. The point guard and center position being like so far off. So like a center getting way more points for assists. I feel like that is like that's not fair. Because you got guys like Nikola Jokic who I'm sure are just like like getting way more points than your point guard. Like, but it's the same. To me, it's the same value. You got 5 guys on the court at one time. Like, that's no brainer. Offensive rebounds, okay. So, less points for the center. Like, this is just such a jank calculation. Like, it just seems to me like okay, like it's more valuable for your point guard. The point guard's going to get a lot more points if they get an offensive rebound, which, like, you got guys like, Russell Westbrook who are just like, okay, let me just, like, get a ton of rebounds, and let's do that. Let's play that game. And they're just feeding into their score overall. Steals, yeah, you get more points for steals, you get more points for blocks. But, like, I want my center to get more blocks. Like, that's just weird. And I get that, like, you're trying to like scale this all out. Like, you know, when your point guard gets a block, I'm trying to think about this. So if my point guard gets a block, that's a really, really strong defensive play. If he gets more blocks as a point guard, I would think that that's really good for a point guard. So thinking about this, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, so if I'm guarding man to man, yeah, that's actually, I take that back. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good calculation. Yeah, so I kind of like that. All right, but I still disagree that this should be determining, you know, how productive a player is versus just the traditional plus minus. But yeah, we'll get back into this.
And this is why people believe LeBron could play for as long as he wants. Because when you're in year 22 playing like two young megastars, the bounds of your capabilities long term appear to be virtually limitless. Although LeBron has now suggested on multiple occasions that his retirement is looming closer by the day, how long would it actually take until LeBron is
Last
no
year we
longer
played with
an
Bronny.
NBA
I don't know about
caliber
that.
player? Well, first we need to know
I
what
think you got to
not
feel it
good
out.
enough
It's
is.
you know,
What does a
it's
replacement level
season by
player on the
season.
verge of a Turkish league contract look like? No, not like statistically. What does it look like?
Yep,
According to
this is good.
Basketball Reference, a player with a box plus minus of 10 or more is an all-time great season. A BPM of 8 or more is an MVP caliber season. 6 or more is about all NBA. Keep going down, and a BPM of -2 is where we'll find the end of the bench players. But even this number is still far too high. This season, players like Jaylen Brown, Jamal
Yeah,
Murray,
I still
and
don't
Jaime
like
Jaquez
this.
have a BPM of less than -2. We want to see this man play until he's no longer invited back. If we keep
Jerry
going down the
Rozier,
leaderboard, it's not until
Star,
about
Jalen
-4
Hawkins,
where
Scoot
we
Henderson,
reach the bottom
James Jensen,
15% of the NBA.
Bogdan
Now, these
Bogdanovic.
spots essentially make
Like, this guy was so good in the Olympics last year. Like, he was the best player on the floor at times. Like, he was just that good.
the last couple of players
He's
at
right
the end
on
of the
here,
bench.
405 in the
I want
BPM.
LeBron to play until he's down here in the trenches. So how
Oh,
long would it
DJ,
take until
Ray
he's
Alexander,
at this point?
AJ.
It really is wishful thinking to assume LeBron could just keep going indefinitely. But history has shown even the greats are usually closer to the end of the road than we may think.
That's how fast homes move in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't know. Get that.
In his 17th season in the NBA, Kobe Bryant
Kobe.
averaged 27, 6, and 6 a game, made first-team All-NBA, a top 5 player in the entire league, and was on track to playing the highest caliber of basketball we had ever seen from a player approaching 2 decades in the league. A couple injuries, and just 107 games later, he was retired and done playing basketball.
Yep.
In Tim Duncan's 18th season in the NBA, he finished the year 10th in MVP voting, 3rd team All-NBA, and a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. The very next season, he was putting up 8 points a game in 25 minutes. And within a season, he was
Yeah, that was such a steep
Shaquille O'Neal, in
decline.
his 17th season, led the league in shooting efficiency and made an All-NBA team. Just 90 games later, he was no longer an NBA player. When things start to go downhill, they go quick.
Yep.
But that's just it. Even after 22 years, things have yet to go downhill for LeBron. Here is a graph of the career.
I disagree with
all-time
this,
greats in terms
but
of
that's
box
fine.
plus minus, from their first season to their last. And right away, you'll notice a trend going on here. Here's Bird, Magic, Jordan, and Hakeem. Here's Kobe, Shaq, Duncan, Garnett.
You go back here,
Bird,
look.
Magic.
So Bird is green, so he had some really, really great years, and then he kind of like tapered off, and then like he averaged like, yeah. So it looks like they learned him. He might have got injured here. Magic, he was really, really solid. Bird had him though. Bird had him like really. Yeah, Bird was playing. Right, and then Hakeem he was never. I think he was a little bit overrated, but he did in the end win that championship, and I think everyone was happy for him. That's great. So. And then Jordan, yeah. So Jordan started off, boom, had some of the greatest NBA seasons ever, and then like had a really bad season, and then came back, and then yeah, you know, this is his championship seasons right here. These are the years that everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's the greatest player of all time, and he hit the shot. Yeah, these are just like, you know, normal years, right? These are like what LeBron James is doing right now, right?
Magic, Jordan, and Hakeem. Here's Kobe, Shaq, Duncan, Garnett, and Wade,
Wow.
extending their careers into or
Kobe
over the
had
2 decades
Kobe's 18th season was so terrible.
mark,
But
still
people were still like, oh my gosh.
to the sharp decline that all players eventually face. And here are some current legends: Durant, Steph, Kawhi, Harden, CP3, and across the board, the general
Steph.
shape of most of their careers look very similar. A rise to superstar for their first 5 seasons,
Whoop.
a prime that lasts
Whoop.
from about
Gotta
season
go right
6
about-
to season
right
10
about here.
or 11. And then around season 12 or 13, the decline begins.
Yeah.
Sometimes this decline is gradual and steady, like in the case of Durant and Duncan. Sometimes a player can find a second prime later in their career, like Stephen Curry has. But the best players of all time
Gotta take out
usually
season
play the
18 for
longest.
Kobe. That's such
And
an
even for
outlier.
them, around season 17 or 18, the wheels completely fall off and retirement awaits. Except for LeBron. It shouldn't even be possible to be this good for this long. LeBron in year 22 is about
Look at
as
that.
valuable
Like, how can anyone say he's not the boat? The guy is the boat. He's the best of all time. End of story. He's the boat. Okay? That there is no question. There's an argument as to whether or not he's the greatest. Get that, right? But at the same time, look at this. Without a doubt, he's the boat.
and impactful on the court as most all-time great players are in about their 12th or 13th season. But we are here today for this number way down here, the dreaded threshold of retirement. And right now, LeBron is far from it. If he wanted to, could he play until he was 45? 50?
Yeah, I think so.
First
Absolutely.
and foremost, contrary to popular belief, LeBron is declining, and he has been for a while now. Some fans are saying LeBron is in his 4th prime and that he hasn't slowed down. And as much as I wish this
What he
was
needs to
close,
do
it's
to
just
enter into that 5th prime is to rejoin the Cleveland Cavaliers.
not. LeBron's true prime was between 2008 and 2013, a 6-year stretch where he led the league in win shares, PER, VORP, box plus minus, and
Yep.
just about everything else. Compare that to his last 6 seasons, and although he is still an all-NBA caliber player, it's really not even close. And this idea that he is still at or near his prime tells me
7th in
people
the
have
league.
forgotten just how incredible LeBron was at his peak. LeBron was so dominant in his prime that despite being 40 years old and about 70% of the player he once was, he is still one of the best players in the world. Now, like most
yeah.
other players,
Easy.
his game may just fall off a cliff at any moment, or he could sustain a bad injury that derails his last couple of seasons. But if either of these things
So many
were
injuries to
happen,
that sort of
they
a shot.
probably already would have. So let's
That's me, by the
irrationally
way,
assume
man.
he continues to regress at
Laying
the
against
rate
someone's
he
foot.
currently is. If we take a look at what is considered to be the best all-in-one metric, estimated plus minus, then 2020 was LeBron's last true MVP caliber season. That year, he finished the season with the 4th highest EPM, behind only Harden, Giannis, and Steph. But
Okay.
since then, he's been slowly slowing down. From being ranked 4th amongst all players to 7th in 2021
There
to
it is.
12th, 16th, a diabolical jump back up to 10th, and this season where so far he ranks 20th in the league, which still puts him firmly in the 96th percentile league-wide. Over the last 6 seasons, on average, LeBron's EPM
I don't like this
has
figure.
decreased by 0.5
I only
per
care
season,
about
and this
the-
decrease
I only care about the plus minus in the end. Not the box plus minus. I said this before. I feel like you have to it's reality. It's playing reality. It's not playing like, oh, out of 100 possessions, like any of that. We're gonna give a weight to more, for a steal for a guard versus steal for a center. No, it doesn't do that. Like it is just a real statistics. Like when you're on the floor, does your team score more points? End of point. End of story.
isn't speeding up. If anything, it has leveled out and stayed about the same since 2022. But overall, LeBron's career trajectory has looked and could continue to look like this, where he will eventually succumb to father time like everyone else, just a whole lot later than everyone else. At this rate, by next season, LeBron will have an EPM of 3, a mark that puts him all the way down in the 95th percentile. We gotta keep going. By year 24, he'll have an EPM of 2.14, still in the 92nd percentile.
I think they're taking. I think they're just like looking at this from like, in terms of averages. But has there ever been a player to last 22, 23 seasons? I mean, maybe, right? There's got to be a couple of guys, but like when age is a factor, I think that decline is going to be a lot more.
By year 25, he will be in the 86th percentile. Year 26 in the 76th
Yeah,
percentile.
but age is going to
Year
become a
27
factor for
in the
sure.
61st percentile, which at the age of 45 would still have him as a starting caliber player. But by year 28, at the age of 46, LeBron would finally play his last year as a contributing player in the NBA with an EPM.
I think right now they need to play. They need to start Dalton, whatever, and have LeBron come off the bench because negative 131 points, and I think that would really
fall within the range of a replacement level player with an EPM of negative 3.8.
Yeah, that would elevate the Lakers if they just switch those two out.
At the current rate LeBron is declining, he could theoretically play until 2031 at the ripe age of 46 before he would have to throw in the towel and retire. And as crazy as this timeline looks, LeBron playing until the year 2031, I think he could play even longer.
Being well-rounded is
I don't know about
the easiest
that.
way to get rejected from your
I don't know. Yeah, I think that decline's going to be a lot more.
You need to get minutes, and to get minutes, you need to earn the trust of your team and coaching staff. LeBron has played so much basketball, and he understands the game so well that I think as long as he wanted to play, and as long as he's able to get up and down the court without his body falling apart, he would get minutes, and he would be capable of contributing in the NBA. Earlier I mentioned Tim Duncan and how quickly his production fell off at the very end of his career. But even without game-breaking numbers, he was still a quality player, with advanced metrics and contributions that made him worthy of a spot in the league clear up until the moment he retired. Almost as if he was so seasoned and so skilled that even at his worst, he was still better than many other players in the league, even if he was a shell of his former self. And I think this would be the case for LeBron. Maybe instead of an exponentially rapid decline in the coming years, his game would hit its theoretical basement. And once it gets to that point, he just stays there. Nowhere near his best days, but still good enough.
I think that's
to be a
closer to what you would
contributing
see.
player for the foreseeable future.
But I think you
The
can
main culprit
continue to
behind the
see that.
retirement of every
I
single
mean,
great player
there's
was
no
physical
way. The guy's going to be 40 years,
limitations.
45
There
some
has
years
never
old.
been an all-time great player who
He's not even,
retired
he's
because
already
they
not
lost
playing
the touch
defense.
or the skill they once had. Players lose a step. They aren't as quick as they used to be, can't jump as high or react as fast, and they begin to ask too much of their body as it slowly shuts down as the mileage piles up. Late into their careers, they are
His
only
injury
as
gave him a
capable as their
championship.
body allows
Be
them to
real.
be. And no one in the history of the league
That's
has
the Admiral,
been
by the
more
way.
physically capable than LeBron. Throughout his entire career, he's been able to mitigate injuries, and even when he does get injured, he's always bounced back relatively quickly with virtually no lingering symptoms. And skill-wise, he's only gotten better as the years have gone along. I know, it sounds absurd, but I think LeBron could play for literally as long as he wanted to. I get it, it's crazy. We've never seen an athlete do that before.
That's probably true.
But LeBron is an absurd athlete unlike any other that we've seen before. So, to answer the question of how long LeBron could continue to play in the NBA as a quality, contributing player, well, based on his current pace and some statistical analysis, if what we've seen is any indication of what's to come, then he could play for about 29 seasons. But based on my completely unbiased and always correct feelings and my admiration for the greatest athlete of my life,
I'm going to say that he might play for one more season after this, and I hope he does. So that way, maybe I can get a chance to see him play. Like he'll announce. Like I feel like he's the type of player who will announce like his farewell season, or not. I don't know, but I feel like he could do that.
I would say somewhere between however long he wants to and hopefully forever.
Yeah, way to say nothing there, Jimmy. As long as he wants to. No, I think he's probably got... He'll finish the season out. He'll reevaluate. He'll figure out what's going on, but yeah. Yeah, I just think that right now, you got to pay attention to the stats that matter. He's got a negative plus minus when he's on the floor. That's the true statistic. That's the fact. None of this like advanced NBA. Like I get that you need to have those stats, and you need to have those stats for for reasons that, when you whether or not you want to invest money into a player. If like you're in an NBA office, you really need to have that. But at the end of the day, that plus minus is 100 negative 131, and that's not very good. But yeah.